his dream here is obviously connected to something that's close to his heart.
Yeah.
He has all these houses, and he's been building houses and building his name and building. And so it's about like, how are you building the kingdom of heaven?
Welcome back to the Rooted Minds podcast, where we come together as a family to talk about books and our emotions. And in this season, some really cool short stories. And in this episode, we're talking about one of our family favorites, which is called The Mansion. So Mom's going to lead us in this one.
Yes, I'm so excited that I got to lead The Mansion, because this is like one that has stuck, like seared in my memory. It's just so like impactful. This picture of just what inheritance looks like, what your value of things in life, and what the eternal perspective is on that. And I love the author, Henry van Dyke. Sorry, his middle name was Henry Jackson Van Dyke. That threw me off there for a second. But it's fascinating because he's this guy that grew up, like his ancestry went like back to the 1600s. Like he had been, he's like an American man.
Wow. Writing
this in the early 1900s. And so he has that family wealth, that established kind of family perspective.
Yeah.
And so when it comes into this story, it gives a lot of interesting thought on what it means to be somebody who is a person of means, a person of wealth, and what do you do with that money, and how do you steward it well? All great questions to ask.
Yeah.
And that's what he does with the short story. So let me just give you a little sum up of the short story. Basically, it's a father, John, what is his last name?
Weightman.
I knew it was like it had weight to it. This man has some weight, carries some weight. John and his son. And the son is feeling like just lost in the shadow of his father. His father has been very calculated and precise with his investments and made a lot of money. He's given a lot. He has a wing on a hospital with his name on it. He has built 3 churches. He's built a school.
Wow.
All of them have Weightman on it. Like he's put his name on everything. Yeah. And he has been just this benevolent guy to his community. And he knows it. And he builds houses. Like he's got several houses. One in the city that is like, it has weight. Like it's this brownstone that
super prominent.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Really feels like represents him well.
Yeah.
But his son has this opposite experience where he's feeling like, but what do I carry? What is it like me to be? And he struggles under the importance of his father. And so he goes off to college and he makes different choices, and some of them are not great. And he gets in a little bit of trouble. His friend helps him out, and his dad is like, not happy with him. And so when it comes to this Christmas Eve, the family is back together. The girls have been sent off to have this great adventure overseas, to really get some culture. And the father and son are talking. The son wants to give this mentor that helped him out some money because he's in a hard place. And the father says, I don't know that that's a good investment. You won't get your money back. And the son is just a little frustrated because he doesn't really care. He doesn't care about getting the money back.
Right.
And so it's this scene that happens where this disagreement between the father and son about what is prudent and what he wants to do. And then the dad has this dream where he goes to heaven. And he is watching all these people get their heavenly eternal dwellings. And he finally gets to his, and it's a hut. It's like
just a little
shack.
Yep.
Little
piecemeal.
Random things put together. And he says, surely you're mistaken. And the guy said, well, we had to work with what you sent us.
Yikes.
He's like, but I did all these things. And he's like, yeah, did you get credit for it?
Did you get your reward?
So he got all of his rewards on earth, and he didn't send anything beyond. And so he wakes up transformed and has a different heart. to partner with his son in helping this other person. Wow. So it's such an interesting thing in this. We were just talking in our last podcast about this time period with the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and just this time period of the 1920s and what it looked like to be a part of the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, and just to know, just to know like self-glorification and the gildedness of things. They called it the Gilded Age because everything was like gilded in gold, but it wasn't solid.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry, that was a long introduction, but just like we're thinking about this idea of our life's work. Like currently we have all these ways to garner influence or reputation or wealth. But like, what does that look like for us? Where do we see our culture measuring worth by that influence or celebrity?
Well, it's so interesting because back in, 1911, when this was, written, the 1920s and industrial area, it was just like, it was a time when there was so much technological change that was happening in such a short amount of time. And so a lot of people were kind of riding that change, getting really quickly wealthy. That's why we were talking about the Gilded Age. And there's a lot of things that are very similar to now about just how much has changed technologically and just our ability to do things. And just now with our, such a digital age, with our ability to interact with anyone across the world. So that's like really changed a lot of things for us, but it hasn't changed in some ways, like the value of this like prestige, and like there's like such a celebrity culture out there, and like everyone talks about being an influencer, and these like hot words that are like, what are these things that can get you a little bit, a few more steps up the ladder,
Well, it's kind of interesting because even like in the social media influence world, like even maybe just not too long ago, most of the celebrities and influencers were people who were already famous. Yeah. They weren't just your ordinary person. They were famous from a movie, from music, from something politics, and they were the ones that were well followed. But today, literally anyone can.
It's not that.
It's within reach for just an average person to gain influence on something like social media.
On a pretty broad scale.
On a pretty broad scale, which makes it way more attractive and like possible for you.
Yeah, because it seems our culture likes to define value based on if you have a lot. Like if you just like the story. I mean, maybe it's a musician who has gained a ton of popularity. It's like a person's net worth proves their personal worth somehow.
Yes. Well, and that's it's a complicated thing to talk about as we sit here and make a podcast, right?
Right.
Like, are we in this pool? Does the podcast matter if it has thousands of views or millions of views? Does it make it a better podcast? Why are we doing it? And why is the word influencer such an, like, when you say it, don't you feel like this negative thing that is carried with it? As if... As if the only reason you could be doing it is for self-serving reasons.
Right. That's good. I think a lot of people, like, I mean, just when you hear the word, like, you kind of, like, instinctually think, like, manipulative. Yeah. Like, you're trying to win people over in a negative sort of sense. But I think you're touching on, like, just this motive side of things. It's, like, really important. Especially when it comes to like the eternal weight of things.
It's true.
Even when you consider like the kingdom of God, influence in power is a part of the story. Like influence and power is kind of built into the way the world works, and God is the authority over influence and power, and influence is given and taken away by God, and so it's like very, very closely like tied to intention with it that makes it for God or against God.
Well, we're connecting back to this story. We have the father who wants to give money to get his name out there. and the son
Right.
who wants to give money. They're both influencing a situation with what they've been
That's really
given.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the son wants to give it because he's like, oh, but they need. And it is like the true wealth mindset is saying, I am a steward of this wealth. And so if I have information or if I have something to
Yeah.
give, then I share it with those who need.
So maybe there's like a negative connotation to influencer and a positive connotation to influencer of just like negative being like you were saying in like a manipulative way, but you know, in a positive way, it being like using what you've been given to help others.
Right.
Yeah.
If you influence somebody to not go down a road that's flooded,
Yeah.
Exactly.
you're saving their life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this story is so interesting because Henry van Dyke, he chooses this character, the father, who's sort of like in the middle between those two sides of things. He's kind of a gray man in a lot of ways because on paper, what he's doing is really good. Like he's giving this
Right.
money, he's giving,
Right.
Right.
but he's doing it for his own.
Well, and let's talk about
Building
that.
up,
Like
maybe.
he's a very prudent man. That's kind of like something that is a big value for him, is that he is a good steward of what he has. Like he makes wise decisions. I think that's kind of the definition of prudence. Like he's carefully cultivated his wealth and his reputation. He's like not done anything outside of bounds because he wants to we might call that living above reproach.
Right.
Yeah.
But here he is, this man that is also thinking about his son. He has plans for his son, and he would really like his son to be like a
Yeah.
senator, because shouldn't this amount of wealth and this like property have a direct representative in Washington, which is
Crazy.
terrifying in some
Yeah.
ways. Like
Oh, so I was thinking,
that we don't need the direct representation to benefit yourself. That's not the point.
Right.
But just like that wealth and the power can really they increase together. And so he's got these really interesting things that I noticed as I was reading, like these Latin phrases, this Latin stamp that says
Yeah.
"Nunc conosco ex parte," now I know in part, and he's feeling very religious and self-made in that
Interesting.
stamp, except it's like identifying the fact that he doesn't have the full
Yeah,
picture.
he really
very
doesn't have the
ironic.
full-
Or like he has this as he's going into his office or his study, wherever he's sitting down at the library, there's this painting on the wall, and it's called it's in French, and I am not but it's basically the French phrase that means capable of anything. Like
Wow.
American art is capable of anything. And so it's this picture of these people joyfully dancing and having fun, and he looks at it and he sees and identifies the beauty there. But then he feels this, oh, but that's pagan. And so I really shouldn't have that on my wall. I'll go sell it for a profit. And so it's this curious thing that he does, there's some integrity that's lacking in how he's operating, but he's feeling very almost like he's gone back to the Scarlet Letter time of this
Right.
anyway. So sometimes do you have the feeling that prudence can blind us to what really matters? Or when is careful planning wise? And when does it become image management?
Yeah, well, the way that you're describing him, it's so interesting, and how you said that question, he almost feels kind of like a Pharisee in a lot of senses, where he's
self-righteous,
following the law for the sake of the law, it's what he's supposed to do to maintain his image, rather than the true heart of the law, which is a relationship with God, connection with God, and so he's seeing this image that contains beauty, and he's saying well, according to the I shouldn't have that, but then he's selling it for a profit. So that's very interesting.
It's so interesting as you say that. I feel so much of the story reflects back to Jesus' Sermon from the Mount. And I'm remembering these different things that Jesus said, don't, if you're trying to make your righteousness seen by other people, don't like hide it. Hide it. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't be righteous for the sake of being seen as righteous. Which seems like the like, let me put my name on there, let other people know I'm following the law. But then I'm also thinking about like one can only have one master. You can't love money and love God. You either love one and hate the other, or despise the other and flee.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it seems like he has this desire to do the right thing in a way, but has this love of money that keeps overwhelming his love of God or truth and goodness.
And because those particular desires have taken such root, it's like he doesn't see them.
Yes.
Therefore, making that prudence, what he thinks is prudence, making that blind him from the stuff that actually matters, like your question.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do things for ourselves, and then all of a sudden that becomes very true. If we feel it as true, we think it as a true thing, and yet there's something underneath that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
So it feels like prudence, but it's actually not, and that's where we need others. I mean,
Yes.
That's where we need other-
Yes.
That's a
True.
great like segue to the transformation that he experiences.
yeah.
Because he goes and he has this dream that like shifts his perspective.
Yeah.
And so like let's just talk about for just a minute like what your experience was in thinking through that dream with him.
Well, it's definitely like storytelling wise, like it's such like a climactic point when, you know, the angel says the thing about like, you gave us what we worked
This
with
is all
what
you
you
give.
gave us. Yeah. And that's like the part where you kind of like realize
You're like, oh,
with him
Everything's-
in a lot of ways, like what has happened.
yes.
And it just makes me think of like, you know, the extravagant and upside down kingdom side of the gospel that he's missing, you know, that it's like, you know, like the scripture where Jesus says like it's, you know, easier for what is it, like the camel to go through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And he's not saying that out of like shame to being rich, but it's like because of this connection, like you were saying, like the who is your master, you know, that it's like makes it difficult to see the, you know, generosity regardless of the cost or the
or
mercy.
the prophet or the
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I even just think from a theological perspective, it's not like we're saying that we agree with this is what heaven is going to look like.
Right.
Right.
And
right.
this is how you're going to experience heaven. And then if you pay it forward, you're going to get a good mansion.
Yes.
That's
Right.
not the heart of the
True.
story.
Right.
True.
But his dream here is obviously connected to something that's close to his heart.
Yeah.
He has all these houses. And he's been building houses and building
Yeah.
his name and
True.
building. And so it's about like how are you building the kingdom of heaven, not what are you doing here so that you can get a good house there,
Right.
Yeah.
because the kingdom
That's
of
so
heaven is
good.
here.
Yes.
And just like you're saying with this upside down kingdom, like the transformation of like, is this prudent, is this wise, am I going to make a profit, am I going to make a good investment here, or where can I show mercy, where can I
Yeah.
extend grace in ways that like grace has been extended to me because of the total sacrifice that Jesus made for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it changes the total perspective of you're no longer working to like send stuff ahead. You're working to say Jesus deserves it all.
Yeah. Out of love
Out of
for
love.
him
That's so
and not
good.
love for your own name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow.
Scripture talks about mercy being greater than sacrifice, and in those times, the sacrifice was often expensive because you didn't have much, and to bring this animal that could have fed you or done things for you or whatever, and sacrificed it was expensive, but it is upside down because our heart is what matters, and the sacrifice. Obviously, we're talking about what Jesus did. Now, what Jesus did takes away that need for us to spend things in order to get favor or whatever,
To gain
to gain
Yeah.
favor.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if we could gain anything better than he's already given us.
Yes.
Or that we could like create our own value
Wow.
like in place of the value he's already placed on us.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
Well,
so good.
So influencers, we influence towards the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Because like if you get nothing from our podcast, but just a greater sense of the love of Jesus,
Yeah.
like that's all we care about. Because Jesus is taking care of us.
Yes.
You know, just like the son in this story, it's like we know that our Father has all the money.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I have a friend in need. Like he's desperate. He doesn't have a father that can give him $1,000 to help him get through.
Yeah.
But he said, I do have a father that has that kind of money.
Wow.
And so I can share my father's wealth.
That's good.
Wow.
Like that is what
That's
we
good.
need to be doing,
That's
right?
so good.
Oh, anyway, I love this story so much.
Yeah, this is such a powerful story. And if you haven't already, we hope you read it as well. But share your thoughts with us in the comments. We would love to hear from you and continue discussing this with you. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for joining us. This is one of our all-time favorite short stories, so we really would love to hear what you think about this story. So share your thoughts in the comments. But until next time, may you find joy, grace, and peace in